Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's installment of Tarot Every Which Way Food. We're going to be talking about the Empress this week. The Empress is number 3. She's one of my favorite cards. In a lot of ways, she really represents motherhood and the maternal. I've got a couple of decks here. I have the New Orleans Voodoo Tarot deck where she's represented as Ayazan. Ayazan is a mother goddess who's sort of representative of initiation. She's seen as the mambo or priestess in the home for or temple in Haitian Vodou. Her veve is very simple. It's similar to the one that they have on the back of the New Orleans Voodoo Tarot, which, by the way, is by Louis Martinet and Sally Ann Glassman. To me, there's a lot of things. I think, in a way, the Empress represents our connection to the mother, our connection to our roles as mothers for those of us as women, our roles as nurturers for those of us who might not be born as women or identify as women. So I think that it's a really interesting card to look at in conjunction with food and the recipe series that we've been doing. I have another deck here, which is one of my new favorite decks, the Wild Unknown Tarot. I reviewed this on the blog Voodoo Universe if anybody wants to know more about it. And I think the symbolism here is interesting because she has it pictured as a tree. So in a sense that there are both roots and a trunk and leaves and branches and a whole system of ways that we can connect to the earth. And I think that's one of the things she's trying to represent in this card. So today we're going to talk about the Empress. And I was thinking a lot about this. I was trying to figure out exactly what recipe would be best to do for you. And I came up with one of my favorites. My godkids and I call this Foxy Cleopatra's. I don't know if you can see this. Here's the Foxy Cleopatra's recipe. Whoa, wait a minute. I'm going this way. I'm going that way. I'm going this way. I'm going to read it out to you. We call it Foxy Cleopatra's because pumpkin balls sounds a lot better. Oh no, my sound is not good. Okay, hopefully my sound will be better. We call it Foxy Cleopatra's because we didn't want to call it pumpkin balls because pumpkin balls doesn't sound that appetizing. So we named it Foxy Cleopatra's, which I think is really, oh no, what's happening? All right, well, I'm still recording. I'm going to keep going. You know, Facebook last week completely deleted this entire live performance, so I was really sad that that happened. So I'm also recording this on YouTube, so if you get frustrated and you can't hear me and the sound's going in and out and whatever technology woohoo juju is happening, you know, I'll get a little holy water out. Maybe we'll sprinkle a little holy water around, see if that improves things. But it will be on my YouTube channel. We did the Fool card, we did the Magician, and we did the High Priestess last week. So you can see all of this on my YouTube channel, which is Lilith Dorsey. So if you miss it, like I said, or if you get frustrated, just go to the YouTube channel. It'll be uploaded as soon as it's done. But all right, so we're going to talk about Foxy Cleopatra's. Now, Foxy Cleopatra's, aka pumpkin balls, there's some simple ingredients. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to chop up an onion. I like to use red onion. It has a little bit of a sweeter taste, especially since we're talking about the Empress. We've got this sweet, nurturing mother kind of influence going on, so I like to use red onion in this recipe. We're also going to use 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. Here's some garlic. I couldn't make a recipe without garlic pretty much, but if you have to leave it out, I understand. The other thing that we're going to do is use some fresh herbs, and a lot of these fresh herbs I chose because they're representative of the Empress card. They're representative of the things that the Empress card really represents, and a couple of those things, the first one I have here is sage. I grew this in my window box. It's one of my favorite. I think a lot of witches and pagans in particular are familiar with sage because it's useful in smudge sticks, it's useful in blessing, it's useful in protection, all of these really great things that we think of when we think of motherhood and nurturing and stuff like that. So we're going to take 3 tablespoons of oil. I like to use olive oil, or grapeseed oil is a really other good oil to use if you're trying to be healthy. You're going to fry up 3 tablespoons full of oil. In that, you're going to put a half a cup of the diced onion. You're going to put 2 cloves, or roughly 2 tablespoons of minced garlic, and you're also going to put 3 tablespoons of chopped sage. Now, sometimes that's really hard to do with a knife, so what I like to do is just cut it up with scissors. And you're going to cook that until the onions start to get browned a little bit and soft, and the sage will crisp up, and it'll be really wonderful. And we're going to add that when the onions mix down. We're going to add that to some pumpkin. You have 3/4 of a cup of pumpkin. You can mash your own. You can get it already mixed if you want to save yourself some time. And to that, you're going to add 3/4 of a cup of breadcrumbs, so equal parts pumpkin and breadcrumbs. And you're going to add the oil and the onion, garlic, and sage mix to that. You're going to mix it up together. This is kind of like basically a meatball. For those of you who have, Italian heritage like I do in part, this will be familiar as the meatball recipe. It's Sunday, if you were like me, you grew up with Sunday meatballs. So you're going to end up with something that looks like, I got to pick it up here. You're going to end up with something that looks like a meatball mash, but with pumpkins. So you're going to mix that together really, really good. And then you're going to mix it into small balls. Now, the size of the balls you want are probably something, you're going to take about this much, probably something around an inch and a half. You're going to roll them together with your hands. I'm not going to do it now because I don't want to get my hands all dirty. But you're going to roll them together. You're going to add an egg, 1 egg, boop, 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 and salt and pepper to taste. You're going to mix that all up, roll them up into balls. You're going to cook it in the oven at 375 for 20 to 25 minutes until it starts to get browned. And then when it comes out, you're going to have some, dun, da, 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 the magic of video. You're going to have yummy, yummy little teeny balls. Now, the best part of this recipe, not that this isn't good enough, trust me, this is a fantastic recipe. It's one of my favorites. My godkids love this recipe. My kids love this recipe. It's very simple. They keep for a while in the refrigerator. You can make it ahead. It's a great appetizer. But the best thing about this is it comes with a balsamic creme fraiche. So we're going to make that right now for you. For those of you who aren't familiar with creme fraiche, it's basically, all those yummy, yummy things. It is heavy cream. So you get some heavy whipping cream, about 1/4 cup. I'm going to eyeball this because I'm used to doing it and I know what 1/4 cup looks like. If you're not used to eyeballing it, then get out a measuring cup and measure it yourself. So you're going to add some heavy cream. I like to do it like this. This is where I'm going to spill whipping cream all over the computer, but all right, let's get this going on. You're going to mix that up until it gets stiff. I like to mix it like this. You could do it by hand like this with a whisk, or you could totally go, all high-tech and electronic and get a mixer and do it. But you're going to mix it until you get not really stiff peaks because you're going to be adding sour cream. That's the secret to the creme fraiche. So that's going to sort of, get it a little soupier anyway. But you want it to be as stiff as you can get it. So we're going to keep mixing this. Let's see, what else can I say about the Empress? A lot of people identify the Empress with some of the goddesses traditionally, like Venus or Freya. They're associated with that. And basically we're looking at aspects of the moon, aspects of love. Not this kind of sexual love that we saw last week with the High Priestess, or this crone kind of wise love, but this real mother's love, this unconditional love, this agape that we heard about, back in the day, this kind of where we're, what's that? What's agape? Agape is unconditional love. So basically, I think that, some of us didn't experience that from our mothers, but we can understand the concept of it. And when the card comes up for us, we can try and really figure out how to nurture ourselves and how to nurture those around us. So I'm going to take the heavy cream, and to that, I'm going to add some sour cream. Whoops, I almost lost my whisk. I'm going to add some sour cream to that, and we're going to mix that up really well. We're going to add a tablespoon of sugar. If you can, get ultra-fine sugar. If not, you could very easily also use something like a tiny bit of honey, or if you don't want it sweet, you can just leave the sugar out altogether. And we're going to add balsamic vinegar to this. Let me make sure I'm adding enough. I think it's a tablespoon. So a tablespoon of balsamic vinegar, a pinch or two of sugar. You're going to mix that up all together to make the balsamic creme fraiche. And this is really going to be a dipping sauce that you can use. Oops, I got to be careful that I don't spill anything. This is really going to be a dipping sauce that you can use for the Foxy Cleopatras. Like I said, not that they're not good enough on their own, but it sort of, gives it a whole nother level when you add the dipping sauce to it. So the consistency you're going to get, so you can see, is like this. It kind of looks like whipped cream. It's really, really, really delicious. So my godson yelled at me last week because I'm not tasting these things. I hide off the camera and I eat when you're not watching me. But I am going to taste this right now. So this is the dipping sauce, the balsamic creme fraiche, and the pumpkin balls, Foxy Cleopatras. Oh my gosh, this is so good. There's something about the tanginess and the sweetness from the heavy cream and the sour cream and the creme fraiche that really mixes well with the herbs and the spices and the pumpkin and the onions. It's just like everything sort of explodes together in your mouth. And one of the other reasons I wanted to do this recipe is I think, again, pumpkins are very nurturing. Pumpkins are associated with Venus and the moon and the emotions. So we can see the connection here between the Empress and that. But also, pumpkins are very nourishing on a medical level, in your diet. They're a diuretic, they're full of vitamins, they're good for kidney stones, they're good for all these things. And then the herbs that we put in, I mentioned there's sage, which is very good for healing. I also put in some basil. Whatever you think that should go in there, by all means, put it in there. I will say this, if you don't know what you're doing, be a little cautious. But, if you have an herb or something that you really like, dill could go in here for communication with the goddess. So use your imagination within limits and stay tuned to Tarot Every Which Way Food. We're going to keep doing this every Sunday. Next Sunday, we might be a little late because I'm going to be going to visit my friend Fat Mandy in Pittsburgh. Everybody, please, please, please check out her social justice disco. They're doing some good things out there, and I want to support them in whatever way I can. So I'm going to go visit them and do some magic-y stuff with them next weekend. And I will be back on Sunday, though. We'll see what time, probably around 9, maybe a little bit later, but I'll keep you posted. And stay tuned to both my Facebook page and my Facebook author page. And as I said, also the YouTube page where everything will be posted. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next week. Bye.